Hey guys, so I want you to make sure you are following along as we read this together. So that means I need you please to open up your books to where we left off. Make sure your eyeballs are following along on the page and you are listening and reading as well, not just listening. So we're going to go ahead and start where it says, "At night the village was very dark." So make sure you're following along with me. At night, the village was very dark, with just oil lamps twinkling in houses on the hills. None of the older women had any education, but they all told stories and recited what we call tapa, Pashto couplets. My grandmother was particularly good at them. They were usually about love or being a Pashtun. No Pashtun leaves his land of his own. No Pashtun leaves his land of his own sweet will, she would say. Either he leaves from poverty or he leaves for love. Our aunt scared us with ghost stories, like the one about Shalgawate, the 20-fingered man, who they warned would sleep in our beds. We would cry in terror, though in fact his toe and finger and Pashto are the same, we were all 20-fingered, but we didn't realize. To make us wash, our aunts told stories about a scary woman named Shashaka, who would come after you with her muddy hands and stinking breath if you didn't take a bath or wash your hair, and turn you into a dirty woman with hair like rat's tails filled with insects. She might even kill you. In the winter, when parents didn't want their children to stay outside in the snow, they would tell the story about the lion or tiger, which must always make the first step in the snow. Only when the lion or tiger has left their footprint were we allowed to go outside. As we got older, the village began to seem boring. The only television was in the hujara of one of the wealthier families, and no one had a computer. Women in the village hid their faces whenever they left their puda quarters and could not meet or speak to men who were not their close relatives. I wore more fashionable clothes and didn't cover my face, even when I became a teenager. One of my male cousins was angry and asked my father, "Why isn't she covered?" He replied, "She's my daughter. Look after your own affairs." But some of the family thought people would gossip about us and say we were not properly following Pashtunwali. I am very proud to be a Pashtun, but sometimes I think our code of conduct has a lot to answer for, particularly where the treatment of women is concerned. A woman named Shahida, who worked for us and had 3 small daughters, told me that when she was only 10 years old, her father had sold her to an old man who already had a wife but wanted a younger one. When girls disappeared, it was not always because they had been married off. There was a beautiful 15-year-old girl named Seema. Everyone knew she was in love with a boy, and sometimes it would pass by, and she would look at him from under her long dark lashes, which all the girls envied. In our society, for a girl to flirt with any man brings shame on the family, though it's all right for the man. We were told she had committed suicide, but we later discovered her own family had poisoned her. We have a custom called swara, by which a girl can be given to another tribe to resolve a feud. It is officially banned, but still continues. In our village, there was a widow named Soroya, who married a widower from another clan, which had a feud with her family. Nobody can marry a widow without the permission of her family. When Soroya's family found out about the union, they were furious. They threatened the widower's family under a jirga of village elders, which called to resolve the dispute. They threatened the widower's family until a jirga of village elders was called to resolve the dispute. The jirga decided that the widower's family should be punished by handing over their most beautiful girl to be married to the least eligible man of the rival clan. The boy was a good-for-nothing, so poor that the girl's father had to pay all their expenses. Why should a girl's life be ruined to settle to dispute? Why should a girl's life be ruined to settle a dispute she had nothing to do with? When I complained about these things to my father, he told me that life was harder for women in Afghanistan. The year before I was born, a group called the Taliban, led by a mullah, had taken over the country and was burning girls' schools. They were forcing men to grow beards as long as a lantern and women to wear burqas. Wearing a burqa is like walking inside a big fabric shuttlecock with only a grill to see through, and on hot days it's like an oven. At least I didn't have to wear one. He said that the Taliban had even banned women from laughing out loud or wearing white shoes, as white was a color that belonged to men. Women were being locked up and beaten just for wearing nail varnish. I shivered when he told me such things. I read my books like Anna Karenina and the novels of Jane Austen and trusted in my father's words. Malala is free as a bird. When I heard stories of the atrocities in Afghanistan, I felt proud to be in SWAT. Here, a girl can go to school, I used to say, but the Taliban were right around the corner and were Pashtuns like us. For me, the valley was a sunny place, and I couldn't see the clouds gathering behind the mountains. My father used to say, "I will protect your freedom, Malala. Carry on with your dreams."